Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And we got the useless Lumi showcase out of the way. Now it's time to showcase the quote-unquote better unit from the banner, the Protector Maribel Razo, whatever you pronounce it, the Plotting Heiress. You know, being an EX Protector, she does bring a lot of value across the board. Protectors are always a lot more important to have because they're the team leaders. And she does quite a bit. Like, she's got a lot of use, and it's all fairly generic as well, which is not the same case for Lumi. So, she's leading the Prosper Force, giving them extra damage to space enemies, gives magic characters 20% of stats, and then every turn, she will passively lower your skill cost by 10. So every time you use a skill, it goes up by 20 points, and she lowers it by 10. So every 2 turns, if you use a skill once, it will go back down to its starting value. And the good thing about it is that it does also hit the back line of characters for all allies, including rear guard. So Idle Rimuru, when he came out, he had that same kind of effect where he passively lowered your skill level or skill costs, but it was only for Vanguard. So you had to do this weird little dance of flipping people in and out, because you wanted someone to be reset while others were, done or too high, or you just used them. Well, Maribel doesn't really have that problem because she's resetting everybody. It's not a full reset like Velzard or Overlord Rimuru, but it is passive and it does hit the back, which is very nice. Her actual skill applies control to all targets for 1 turn and its stacks. And control, when the enemy's turn ends, so it's not immediate, but when the enemy's turn ends, you get 15% weakness strike per enemy. So at max, you can put control on 3 people, and you get 15% per person. So if you're in an AoE setting, you get 15, 30, 45% stacking weakness strike on that turn. And because it says that you can stack control, you could apply it twice, which means that instead of 45%, you would get 90% weakness strike in an AoE setting. That is very good, and it's unlimited, so that stacks up too. You're not always gonna have a double Maribel turn. It's gonna be like every other turn or something like that. But you get 45 here, you get 90, and then you get another 45, you get another 90. You're going to get a literal butt ton of weakness strike. And that is useful as long as, at least your nuker is type advantage against whoever you're fighting, right? So that is nice. It's not as strong in a single target enemy setting because there's only one person to apply weakness, and at most you're going to get 30% or 15, and, definitely not as good as 90. But it is still something that stacks and it's passive. It doesn't cost anything to use this and get this buff. She also gives everybody guard and super guard rate guaranteed for 1 turn. So Vengeance Raphael gave everybody guard. Excellent. This is now the much better version because guard cuts your damage by 50%. Super guard cuts it even more. So normal orbs will do little to no damage to you. It does not protect you from ults though. Guard does not get affected by ults, or ults are not affected by guard rate. They're going to come through and they're going to hit you for full power. So that's kind of unfortunate. And then she also gives you 300% skill points on blues, which pretty much helps you just get backed up to your 100 point cap. So she does have viability across a lot of the game. Let's find out where. Alright. We're going to use this team. I made a few changes to versus the one we used for the actual Lumi showcase. We've got Maribel, still Violet. We brought Guy for the green orbs now, so we've got Guy and Violet to cover pretty much everything. And then still Rigard is here. And then Fire Lumi, and then Earth single target Lumi, because I want to make an example out of this stage. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Okay, I skipped ahead. We're on turn 2 right now. Let's use Guy's orb change, because we have it. And now, we've got a double stack of Maribel. So remember that control on each target is 15%, and we have a double use of her. So that's going to be 30% per individual target. So here's her animation. It's It's okay. I don't really understand who Maribel is because I don't read the manga or light novels, nor do I really care. But, you know, she's here, so we gotta showcase her, right? Alright, so there's control. So now we have guaranteed guard and super guard rate, which means that we're going to take very little damage, and control is applied to the enemy's control right there. But we know it stacks, so let's do it again. We don't enhance our guard rate or anything. Okay, we don't have to watch this again. But now we've got two separate stacks of control. They're both here, they're both blinking, and they're not grayed out. So now, 30%, 30%, 30% weakness strike coming in at the end of the turn. It is not immediate. We will not see it until turn 3 starts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So go ahead and send these. Guy's physical, he's doing 1 damage. He has a physical nerf and they have a physical buff, so not a big deal. He's not going to do really anything here. But now, after they hit us, so boom, super guard right there, super guard, super guard, super guard. So unless they pierce through it or something, or we just have shit defense, then we'll take 1 damage. But there, the control is gone. But now if we look at Earth Lumi, she now has 90% weakness strike because we used it twice and there's 3 enemies. So let's do it again. Okay, we're gonna turn that off now. Let's do it again. We have fire and earth characters up here, so we can orb change with Lumi without any problem. And boom. There we go. And now we'll send this on Gobta. And that's pretty much how the team is going to run. As long as you can build a team around Lumi's orb change and her resurrection skill, then you're going to be looking good. And Maribel will prevent you from doing a lot of damage. And now, like, look at how much power Lumi's orb did now, right? With an extra 90%. And now another 45 coming in because 1 stack of control. And now we're up to, you know, high numbers, 135. We've got another double stack of Maribel. But what we're going to do here is we're going to kill Gobta. So, since it takes effect at the end of the turn, if you kill somebody, then you take away these 2 stacks of control. They don't just magically give it to you because they happen to be there. They have to be active. So, if we kill Gobta, we're only going to have 4 stacks now. Not as good. 60% weakness strike. Still a lot, if all things considered, by all means. But not what we want to really see, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This should kill Gobta. This does kill Gobta. Alright, perfect. Exactly enough to kill Gobta. Alright, so boom. So we were at 135, so after this turn we'll be at 195 because of the 4 stacks now of control. And then we'll check Lumi. And boom, there's all their stacks. And they are now up to 195%. So if you want to get maximum value out of that stacking weakness strike, you're going to want everybody to live on the enemy side until you're ready to, like, super nuke or something. That's the thing, is that you want to keep them alive long enough to where you can nuke them down, and then you don't have any real problems. So let's get Guy out of here. We brought Rieger, so orb change, alt swap. Boom. Boom. Another stack of Maribel. We're going to be over 200% now on the weakness strike, and I mean, it's looking pretty good. It definitely looks good. And we're alive, right? We've taken very, very little damage, and this is applicable to any stage, you know, as long as, well, you don't actually need a blue team. I mean, she buffs blues, but you can run a green team with a green buffer and call it a day, and there's, I don't think, any real problem there. But here, now, we're going to prove that guard doesn't mean jack crap to these alts. So we're going to intentionally take these alts, because I don't think we're going to die. But we're going to take a heavy amount of damage nonetheless. So alt swap there. We'll bring Violet in for her orb change because it's cheap. Boom. And we'll go ahead and send this. And we'll actually send Lumi first. That way we don't do too much damage here. Oh, after we apply the other 2 stacks of control. Sorry. So another 60% going to come in for the 2 Lumis. And that's, you know, that's what you're going to do. She's giving us the extra skill points, which allows us to use, you know, our maximum amount of skills with 100 points. It's unfortunate she doesn't give you 30, or she doesn't raise her skill cap at all, but she is giving you kind of a way around it. So it's kind of nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have guard and super guard. But when they ult us, those are not going to pop up. Because again, alts don't care about guard. Boom. 12,000 damage against Violet. Hakuro straight up kills Lumi. Oh, but we had guard. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. So that is something you need to watch out for. If you are going into this fight, or any fight where they nuke you, and they have a lot of buffs, you need another character to supplement Maribel. You need to have some sort of defensive skill. Skill-fused Water Soe, skill-fused Earth Trainee. Raphael actually doesn't really help here that much, because they're raising their physical attack and space attack. Two things that Vengeance Raphael does not seal. So he's actually not really that great here. But there are other units that can give you defensive buffs, and that's what's going to have to help protect you, unless you have Lumi and her revival skill, which we don't anymore because she's dead. But let's go ahead and move on, because I just wanted to showcase the stacking versus one less character. Let's try another stage out now. Alright, next up we're going to go into EX5 Tempered Edge versus Clayman, who does hit pretty hard, and he has a moderate amount of HP. He's got almost 15k attack. So guard is going to be something that's going to be very, very useful here. We brought Guy, Hero, Fire Benimaru so we can avoid the burn. Violet will be our DPS, and then Fountain Wisdom Rimuru. So we're going to get the physical buff here, the alt buff here, her own attack and crit and everything like that, as long as we can work with it. We'll see how this team runs, but the guaranteed super guard will help us out, and the extra stacking weakness strike, even though it's only a single target stage, will still be a benefit to Violet and Benimaru and Hero. Okay, so turn 1, nothing going on here. We'll just do this, and we'll bring Fountain Wisdom Rimuru in for Benimaru. We'll go ahead and send these. Just full hand of greens. We'll get a little bit of protection gauge from Water Xian that's underneath Rimuru, but more importantly, we're avoiding that crit nerf. And well, there's a crit right there. Cool. A little bit of a burn. Awesome. There's the crit nerf. And he's doing 3,000 a hit type neutral. That's fairly impactful right there. This hand sure does suck though, and we can't really do anything about it either. Sure. Boom. Man, I should have brought Benimaru instead, huh? Should have brought Benimaru instead. Alright, well, let's just do this. And we'll bring Violet in for... We'll do this. We'll bring Violet in for Guy. And then we'll bring Benimaru in for Hero. And then we'll give ourselves guaranteed super guard, and it will protect us from the damage that's going to be incoming. And then both Benimaru and Violet at the end of this turn will get 15% weakness strike. Alright, so there's a counter right there. Still did 443, even through super guard. So burn, alright. There we go. 252, 300k versus Rimuru. Like, that's pretty good. Why are you giving me so many greens? What's with the greens, man? Get him out of here. Alright, but we have reset Benimaru, right? It's turn 3. We used him turn 1. It was back down to its 25 original cost, and that is Maribel's passive reset. So even though Benimaru was in the back for one turn, and then we brought him up, it doesn't matter, because Maribel is resetting everybody. And you see Guy, his orb change starts 30. We use it, it's now 50, and it's back down to 40, because a turn has passed, and she has reset him down by 10. So it does allow for a little bit of sustainability, but still being capped at 100 is a bit of a detriment, unfortunately. But there are kind of ways to get around it. One, by bringing just a low-cost team. So let's see how much damage we take without the Super Guard on Violet and Benimaru. We took about 250, and now we're taking 2,800. quite a bit of a difference there, wouldn't you say? So now, orb change with you. Guy has now been reset back down to his base value of 30, so that's excellent. So let's get Rimuru out of here. Guy comes in. Boom. Full hand of blues. We will then use Violet's buffs right here. And we'll apply guard again. So yet another stack of control. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now Violet has an ult. We have 2 stacks of Maribel next. We're doing 13k a hit from Violet with her buffs going on. The thing is that since it takes part at the end of the turn, right? The end of the fight. If you swap Violet out now, she's not going to get these 2 stacks of Maribel because it's only hitting the front line. And that is kind of an unfortunate thing, because it forces you to leave characters in. And if you're on a weaker team with less dupes and less gear, and your units are taking a lot of damage, even through the super guard, because you're brand new, you have to leave your DPS up front, who may or may not be low in HP, but you're trying to prioritize her damage stacks. So it is really kind of a dance that you have to do to make things really, really work. Let's bring Rimuru in for Guy, and then let's use the physical buff on Violet. Let's get her out of here. And then we've got some oranges, and I mean, we'll give ourselves a stack of the guard and the weakness strike. Again, it doesn't matter though. And we have 40 points, so we need 80. But here, boom, 12,000 damage. Right through the guard, because again, it doesn't matter. We're protected from the AoE follow-up, and that's nice, because maybe if your Benimaru is weaker, maybe he survived that, but then the AoE kills, unless you have the guard. So, I mean, it is useful to a point. To a point. Alright, let's get a Benimaru out now. We'll go ahead and orb change with Guy. We'll use Maribel to give us the points, and then off of this, we should be able to then nuke with Violet next turn at full power, because we'll have enough for the ult buff as well. So I don't care what you do. Yeah, nothing. Excellent. Okay, but Maribel, I mean, counters can kill. You can get really unlucky with counters, and they could just take out your one weak unit, because you're forced to leave somebody in if you're trying to prioritize. And they can counter you at any time, and that can ruin a run. Not really what you're looking for, but it does happen. So now, let's use the buff from you. Let's get a stack of burn on, just for funsies. And, you know, how much weakness strike do you have now? 30%. So she got 2 stacks. Not a lot, but it still does help here and there. And now Violet does 207,000. Not as much as I was hoping for. 51k on the burn. All right. Oh, okay. There we go. Crit, and there, you know, here we are. So, do you need to see more out of this stage? I don't really think so. Let's go somewhere else where they hit fairly hard and fairly often. All right, the final part of the showcase, we're going to go into Conquest Ifrit, who, in the beginning stages of the game, can be a problem for new players because he does AoEs, because he gives himself attack and guaranteed crits, and he does ult a lot. So the ult, again, we're not protected from, but we will protect ourselves at least from the AoE crits, which are gonna hurt, you know, a lot, especially to players who don't have good gear and who have level 80 or lower units. And this is all they can do. So if you happen to summon for Maribel, I think she'll be really, really helpful for newer players and early game content. But as you get more into, you know, mid and end game content where teams now have to be built pretty specifically, Maribel is going to see, I think, a lot less use, and I just don't think there's anything you can really do about that. Defensive teams, unless it's Vengeance, which has a guaranteed way to kill, are not very often put out for this kind of exact reason, unfortunately. Now, what makes Vengeance so good is that you are passively doing damage from Vengeance. You are passively doing extra damage if you have type advantage against an enemy. But so we took 1,000 damage there. Alright, we don't quite have enough to use Maribel, so let's actually not kill, because we're too strong here. So let's just do some Geld Orbs. Yeah. Okay, so this ult's probably gonna do some damage, like 2,000 or something, around there. Yeah, 2,400. Okay. And then, does he have a follow-up? Yep, okay, he does. 2,800 there. So again, his ult will come in. We can orb change. Boom. Boom. And then we can Maribel. So this is going to give our blue orbs a butt ton of points back. It's going to give us guaranteed super guard. And again, I don't want to kill him just yet. Okay, good. He'll die next turn, but we'll get an extra 15% weakness strike because of the stack. And now the ult will still do 2,400-ish damage. Yeah. And then if he has a follow-up, 289. Quite a big difference from that one that Geld took last time, right? So, yeah, I think Maribel is going to be much more impactful to newer players. But if you already have a team, like if you already have the Vengeance meta, like I don't really think that you need Maribel. Because you already have a guaranteed way to kill. You already have a defense-focused team. And I don't really think you need anything else. So, it seems just a little bit unnecessary, I guess. And she's not really going to do much in the long term because you're still going to die, right? What makes the Vengeance team so good is that you have Raphael who can seal, you have a lot of defensive options. You can have defensive options on this team too. It's just that without a guaranteed way to actually live ults, you're going to have an issue. And bringing Raphael on this team, you certainly could, but the whole point is to use his guard for the Vengeance stacks, not Maribel's guard, and then no Vengeance stack on Weakness Strike, which Raphael might not be type advantage or something like that. So there's a few trade-offs you're going to have to make, but overall, I think Maribel is good. I don't think she's bad, and I don't think she's a game changer. I think she's just kind of in the middle, coasting along, built more for newer players, not a lot of use towards the end. But let me know your thoughts on her. Am I underselling her a bit? Maybe, possibly. Let me know your thoughts. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.